Welcome to OTR Debate, our off-the-record club, where three lawyers debate everything and anything while trying to find out how it all has to do with the law. My name is Lando, I'm a prosecutor, and this is Mucci, and he's a lawyer too, right?
Hello, everyone.
Yeah. Before we get started on tonight's episode, we do have some upsetting news. And I'm not sure if you're aware, Mucci, but we lost Pat.
Wait, are you serious?
Yeah.
I just saw him a few days ago. He was set to be wed.
Yeah, we were at his bachelor party, yeah.
What happened?
He was set to be wed. But no, he didn't die or anything. He's got some stuff coming up. He is going to take some time away from the podcast, but he didn't die, so that's a good thing.
Yes, that's definitely good. We can all agree on that. Well, in all seriousness, he will be missed.
He will.
For sure.
And who knows? He might appear from time to time. Something tells me he will. Something tells me we haven't seen the last of him. At least not on this podcast. We're going to hang out with him pretty soon, I think.
He's not the last of us.
Yeah. With all that being said, we have a new third host. And thinking back to everyone that we've had on the show so far, it really there wasn't really that much of a debate
Competition. Yeah.
as to who we should bring on. I know that he was a top contender with you, Mucci, when we did the March Madness Forethought
in March Madness Forethought, he was Al Woods. He was repping in the finals against my Vincent Gambini. So yeah, he's had some precedent being in the pod.
Yeah. So that's with that being said, we have Wee.
Hi everyone, I'm Wee. Not quite as influential as Al Woods, but I am a transactional attorney negotiating contracts for a living.
I think we all strive to be like Al Woods, and I don't think we'll ever get there, so...
It's true.
And we all do pretty different things. I mean, it's transactional. I mean, Pat, I guess, did some kind of transactional work a little bit, but... yeah.
And he will continue to do so.
Because he's still alive.
Now, with all the big changes out of the way, tonight's topic is EDM versus punk rock, right?
Yeah.
So, debaters, what side are you taking, Richie?
Punk rock.
Okay.
One of my favorite genres, I think. Yeah. Just, very influential and probably one of my favorite genres of music to listen to when especially for a cathartic, fight the power kind of moment.
Okay. And Wee, does that put you with EDM then?
Yeah, EDM is one of my top genres. Really big part of my formative adult years, and I still love it to this day.
Yeah. Formative being the key word.
Yeah.
So as always, the format is opening statements, brief, a sentence or so, followed by my questions. We'll go to closing arguments, and then we'll have a decision that I will render. Viewers could disagree, but I don't care. I'm going to render my decision. So,
let us know if you disagree.
Oh, I'm sure they will. Opening statements. We don't have a coin here. Who wants to start?
I can start. Ready to start?
It's going to please the court.
Okay. Thank you, Your Honor. So, punk rock music was really a necessary development in music, I think, because it was reacting to the rock music of the day, which was getting very unwieldy, 20-minute long songs, symphonic, long 5-minute guitar solos, and particularly in the US, the idea was to strip all that down and let's make it simpler, easy chords, easy to play, simple lyrics, short songs, and let's get kind of back to basics. So it brought that, and also kind of a do-it-yourself, aesthetic, where people could make this music in their own garages, put it out without a major label. And along with that happening in the US and the UK, there was this development that was very political based, and the rampant unemployment and just misgovernance in the UK led to the youth writing a lot more political songs that were fighting back at that. So I think both those developments are hugely influential to music, to anyone making something in their bedroom or garage, and to anyone with a political consciousness in their music.
Thank you, Mucci. I know in my youth, that being high school and college, I dabbled in punk music.
Yeah.
More so pop punk. I did have an emo stage, bangs out to my hair. I'm not sure if I wore eyeliner. Yeah, I definitely wore eyeliner for a show.
Oh.
Yeah, but you want to take it away with your opening?
Sure. So EDM, or electronic dance music, it's a broad range of electronic
That's
music.
what it stands for.
Yeah.
I actually didn't know that.
Yeah, so it's not EDM music. It's like ATM machine. You know,
Okay.
the M is already there. But it's originally created for nightclubs, raves, and festivals. It encompasses a large number of different genres and electronic dance styles, such as like techno, house, trance, dubstep, drum and bass, and so many more. But it has multinational origins and influences from genres all over the world. And has a relatively low barrier to entry, so a lot of people can make music.
That's what we want to hear.
Yeah, and I think it allows for people to tap into their talent that may be prohibited from other types of instruments that would be necessary for other genres of music. And it's constantly evolving with like I said, new DJs coming in. Also allows for existing DJs for a longevity of career that I think is kind of unmatched from other genres in terms of like the ability to perform at a live show, whereas a band might get tired after 45 minutes. A DJ can go on for 4 hours, and this was said by
Or a certain lead singer of a certain band might be losing their voice late into their.
You could continue DJing through your 70s and 80s, probably.
For context, we got the Guns N' Roses show where it was 100 degrees out, and
It was disgusting.
Yeah.
And it wasn't just because they were kind of performing pretty badly.
But yeah, overall EDM, it's great to run to for me. It's great to exercise to in general, and most importantly, it's great to party to.
Okay. Most importantly.
Yeah.
Before I fail to mention this, we are at District Brew Yards, and it's nice out. It's not too hot tonight.
Yeah.
It's a great night for this. So let's get to the questions. All right, so starting with my questions, as always, there's going to be 3 questions. One is going to be legal-based. So the first question, tell me about your chosen genre, where it comes from, and essentially, how did it come to be?
Yeah, for punk, really its stylistic origins are kind of in the late 60s or mid 60s garage rock kind of bands, and then particularly in the late 60s, 2 major Detroit bands, MC5 and the Stooges, are very much like proto-punk, like just in a few years punk is going to explode, But
The Three Stooges?
yeah, the 3 Stooges. No, Iggy Pop and the Stooges. But yeah, personally, I've also always thought that the early Rolling Stones, they had some things that were, to bring back to our, one of our first episodes, they had some elements in their music that were pretty proto-punk, kind of rebellious and aggressive. And also Bob Dylan, when, not only the political nature of his music, but when he went electric, and the kind of chaotic nature of that music sounds very, proto-punk to me. So, in any event, where it really comes into its own is like in the mid-70s. In the US, it happens in New York City, where you have bands playing at CBGB, a very popular venue there. You have like Talking Heads, the Ramones, Patti Smith, and particularly for bands like the Ramones, it was, as I mentioned earlier, where it was stripping things down to the basics. Kind of anyone can play this, anyone can pick up a guitar in a few months, can play this music. You don't have to be like classically trained, you know?
I mean, these types of bands, and I always fall back to Blink because that's one of my favorite bands, and Green Day as well. I mean, there's a joke that you learn the 3 chords, you're probably going to be pretty fine for a couple of different songs.
For most of the songs,
you hit it hard, you scream, you're going to be doing something, right? So,
yeah. And then in the UK, you have, like I said before, like a more political angle to the music, particularly early on. American punk got pretty political as well, but like I think really early UK punk was very political, and the Sex Pistols with God Save the Queen, and one of my favorite bands of all time, The Clash. Political, like very left-leaning minding lyrics. And yeah, that's kind of where it got its start.
okay. Bonus question for you, Mucci. What is your favorite The Clash song?
Oh, I was right for that one. Yeah, my favorite Clash song might be the song "Straight to Hell," which is a bit of a later one.
I think we likes that song too, right?
Yeah,
It's a good one.
And if you've heard the MIA song "Paper Planes," she sampled that to make the beat of "Paper Planes."
Yep.
But you know that it's not the most punk-sounding song, and the Clash really started to develop other genres into their music, which kind of traces how quickly punk evolved to not only embrace other genres like reggae, like ska and multiple other genres, but also proliferated all these subgenres, pop punk or post-punk, all these genres that stem from it. Yeah.
Okay. So now that we've heard that, does EDM come from a less political stance?
I would say so, unless you think partying is political. Which actually, maybe. There could be some development there that I could make later on. So precursors to EDM actually started around the same time as punk in the late 1960s to 1970s, with Jamaican dub music, synthesizer-based disco music, and electropop. And one of the bands that was attributed as one of the pioneers is a German band called Kraftwerk in the 1970s. They're really the first ones to popularize the genre. But electronic dance music didn't truly emerge really until the 1980s. And that was shaped a lot by the development of several new electronic musical instruments, primarily from the Japanese company Roland, which is still around today.
Yep.
I make some of this microphone equipment, actually. And from there in the 1980s, with post-disco and electro-funk, it really thrived in club culture, in party destinations like Ibiza, and the kind of rave scenes in the UK and Germany. Before it spread to the rest of Europe. And then in the 90s is really when the American music scene kind of made more efforts to market it after house music was developed in Chicago here. The term that was used here was electronica, which I think a lot of us maybe heard in our youths. But really by the...
It's the first time hearing it.
Electronica? Maybe our youths are different times. So by the mid-2000s, EDM really started receiving worldwide popular attention, with DJ Tiesto, who's often regarded as the godfather of EDM. He was the first DJ to perform at the Olympics opening ceremony in 2004. Along with that, just more and more mainstream incorporation of EDM into top 40. So a lot of people attribute the tipping point in 2006, the performance at Coachella by Daft Punk. Was kind of really where the popularity into mainstream music, and also
Daft what? Daft what?
Daft Punk. Yeah.
Oh.
Quarter
point to Mucci on that one.
And then just to name another artist who really helped solidify in top 40, someone who's been in the cultural zeitgeist, Justin Timberlake, with Sexy Back.
Yeah. I mean, I'll give him Suit and Tie because that was my jam a while back, but...
Yeah, but Sexy Back was the EDM, kind of mixing into pop music.
Oh, interesting. Okay. I never thought of that.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, so kind of heard a little bit about where both genres sort of came from and how they came about. My next question would be, now that we know where it's come from, where's it headed?
Well, if I can answer that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Punk rock music and its various subgenres and genres that stem from it are still a going concern. I mean, even a lot of indie rock and alternative rock stemmed from it. But one of my favorite modern bands is this band called Parquet Courts. They're still going, still making music. Parquet Courts.
Okay, not Porquet?
No.
And not parkour?
No, neither of those.
Okay.
And not shorts.
Nope.
Courts.
But my favorite album by them is a 2018 album called Wide Awake, which I would like to actually publish as Mucci's Exhibit A.
Okay. Any objection?
No objection.
Okay.
This was their 2018 album, Wide Awake. and cool album cover. Pretty inspired by like dance punk of the 80s and a Gang of Four kind of stuff. And you know, still containing the political mindset. The opening track is about like the lower classes rising up, class consciousness and everything. And the second track is about like police brutality and racial divisions and stuff like that. So keeping that political edge of punk and commenting on what's still going on today. Also, similarly, Maddie's favorite band, the Menzingers, they've got a new album coming out this year, so they're still a going punk rock concern, and yeah, still in
Maddie's
good shape.
Probably not able to hear them, considering he lost that one case and is still in hell, I believe. After that episode.
You don't think they play their music in hell?
They might. Does EDM, are they political?
They can be. There is a clip that went viral a few years ago of a DJ paying tribute to George Floyd, and it was similar to "Now Watch This Drive" moment.
Okay.
In terms of
paying tribute to George Floyd, something that probably shouldn't be political.
Sure.
But
yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah. But like I said earlier, it's mostly apolitical. I think, at least with my experience of it, it's more about having a good time. Sense of community, and I guess in a sense, if your politics lie with having a good time and a sense of community, there you go. But really, my love of EDM boils down to like the diversity of sound, and I think it's just constantly evolving. Like I mentioned earlier, there's just so many genres and subgenres. Whenever there's a stylistic variation within an established EDM genre, like I had mentioned, like house or techno or trance, that kind of emerges a new subgenre. And there's often hybridization too, which combines elements from different genres and creates new entirely genres, not subgenres of EDM too. And so the ability for the DJs to kind of feed off each other and grow constantly and create, add new branches to this never-ending growth of the EDM subgenre tree is really like where I feel doesn't stop EDM from growing as a genre. And for example, one of my personal favorite subgenres is called Moombahton, which is derived from house music and reggaeton. And anyone who knows me knows I love reggaeton music.
Shout out to people that know you.
Right. And shout out reggaeton. But that genre was just created in 2009. And it already has its own subgenres, such as Moombacore, which incorporates some dubstep, and Moomba Soul, which incorporates some deep house influences too. And just as a further example of just continued growth and longevity of career, Tiesto, who I mentioned, was one of the godfathers, or is often referred to as the godfather of EDM. Just this year in 2023, he released his own album with new music, but also remixed Barbie.
The Barbie World song.
Girl, on the Barbie movie. And then also remixed Karol G's Provenza. So, he's also tapping into that Latin music as well. And so, you just continued growth and, longevity of career is available in the EDM world.
I guess the question that I'm going to have to internally decide is whether EDM is just going to be taking from all the growth of other genres of music and input into EDM.
Yeah, that's what it's all about. Growth.
Now hearing that, before we get to our last question, do us a quick favor, subscribe on YouTube, follow us on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, whatever you're on, like us, give us a review. Love you for doing that, and hope you like this. Mucci, let's go to the last question. Tie your genre into the legal world. Tell me something that relates to what we do. Maybe not specifically what we do, but tie it into the legal world somehow. Shock me.
I'll shock you. Well, just going along with the fact that so much of punk is political. Obviously, it's commenting at times on legal issues. I wouldn't say necessarily there's a song I can think of, and if someone can, let me know. But a song explicitly about like a court case or whatever. But there is a song that does tie in a lot of legal elements to it, like the courtroom and stuff, and it's the song "Electric Guitar" by the Talking Heads, and it has lyrics about putting rock music on trial, essentially, but making that literal in the song. There's a jury of 12 listening to rock music and putting this electric guitar on trial, and he says something about committing perjury. So there's some legal elements like explicitly in that song. But yeah, if the political is legal, then there's a plethora of legal-related punk songs.
Okay.
Yeah.
I guess if Creed fell into the punk rock world,
Creed?
you would have talked about My Own Prison, maybe.
As soon as I was like, I don't think there's a courtroom one, I thought of a hip hop song, which was "Fuck the Police," which was like entirely a courtroom sketch at the beginning of it. But I was like, that's not punk, but it does have like a punk ethos to it, I think.
There's also the song about the hurricane.
With the Bob Dylan song? Yeah. Man, the Authority. That's also not punk song. But progenitor of punk, as I said earlier, I guess.
Yeah. I'm trying to help you out here. Sorry.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
So I just kind of wanted to talk about somewhat recent copyright suit that was filed in 2019 from one big producer against another big producer. So Artie had claimed that Marshmello had stolen.
Sorry.
No, you're good. You're good. You know, you gotta stand out and be memorable.
I know that Marshmello has like a giant fucking marshmallow on his head, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay. You can't confuse them. There's no confusion there. Go ahead. Sorry.
So Artie had remixed a song by One Republic called "I Lived" in 2014. And his claim was that Marshmello stole that melody and recycled it for his remix of Happier by Bastille in 2018. So the court ultimately came down in favor of Marshmello, saying that Artie just didn't have the grounds to file suit under the terms of his contract with One Republic. He acknowledged and agreed that the services rendered by the remixer hereunder do not entitle remixer to any ownership or financial interests in the underlying musical composition. And so,
which makes sense, right? I mean, that makes sense that they would sign that kind of contract and that would be the kind of agreement. Because, I mean, ultimately, that initial work is One Republic's, right?
That's true. And so the court basically said that the underlying musical composition in question included not only the original version from One Republic, but also extended to Artie's remix as well. And so this kind of set the legal precedent that remixers don't own the rights to their work when it comes to copyright infringements. And I think this just like adds to the growth. And people being able to feed off each other and just build up, until it drops.
So I think I've heard enough in terms of these questions. Give me a one sentence. It could be a long sentence, but give me one sentence closing.
Okay.
Who wants to start?
You want to start since I did opening first, or?
Sure. I'll just leave you with a quote from the English producer Richard James Burgess and his band Landscape, as he put in 1980. EDM is computer programmed to perfection for your listening pleasure.
Okay.
I put you into a mic drop there. I've talked a lot about sort of history and genres and whatever, but I haven't really talked as much about how it does make me feel to listen to that music. And I think whenever there is, sometime I'm feeling angry at the world or angry at a political issue or dissatisfied, there probably is a punk song that I will listen to that'll feel very cathartic, that will be speaking truth to power, and that I will find very inspirational and, vent my frustrations at society. So I think that is the utility of punk to my life personally, and I think to a lot of people that love the genre.
Okay. All right. Well stated on both sides. In terms of my decision, all right, so yes, Mucci doesn't really get angry. He does get angry at society, though. I've seen that happen.
It's true.
Certain
I'm
things,
also a witness.
certain things in society that happen, it's just he gets pretty mad. Also, don't expect him to explain the rules of a board game. He will flip tables.
David.
But the thing is, Mucci, I'm sorry, with your argument, this entire episode, I've been waiting for a couple of things. And those things are, well, I should say they're things, they're bands. Blink-182 and Green Day. At least those two. Bands that I grew up playing, grew up listening to. They were lacking in your argument. Yeah, I mean, some of the bands that you mentioned, yes, they are influences of Blink-182 and Green Day. But I was just really kind of hoping you'd go a little bit into the pop punk area. You didn't, so I'm going to go completely the other way. Go to EDM, a genre that I don't listen to, that I wouldn't work out to, that I wouldn't party to. So I'm going to give the win to Wee, his debut episode, and his first win.
Thank you.
I'm gonna flip this table.
How's it feel?
It feels great, to be honest.
How's it feel to you, Mucci?
Just because I didn't mention two bands we already discussed in the podcast.
Yeah, it's a great redemption for both me and Elle Woods.
Okay. So, if that wraps things up, this has been OTR Debate.